What true love really is. Osho on love and ego. In the human mind, there is intense tension, a tension that has reached a near madness. This tension must be relaxed, yet alongside it, there is slackness in the human heart. The strings of the heart's veena lie loose. They must be tightened. I spoke to you this morning about how to tighten these strings of the heart, and now I will share the final teaching. From the veena of human life, the greatest music can emerge only when the strings of the heart are properly tuned. Society has lost its heart, an era or a century in which all the values of the heart have been weakened, where everything that is good, true, and beautiful has been lost. If we wish for truth, goodness, and beauty to re-enter our lives, there is no other way than to tune the strings of the heart's veena. Love is the way to tune the heart, to bring the heart strings into the right condition from which music can arise. That is why I call love prayer. I call love the means to reach God. I call love God. Prayer without love is false, empty, and meaningless. Words about prayer that lack love have no value whatsoever, and no one who embarks on the journey toward God can ever attain Him without love. Love is what makes the heart's veena produce music. We must understand a few things about love itself. The first illusion is that all of us think we know about love. This illusion is extremely harmful because it prevents us from making any effort to acquire or awaken what we assume we already know. Yet we fail to recognize that one who truly knows how to love simultaneously acquires the capacity to perceive the sacred. If we truly knew love, nothing else in life could remain unknown. But in the way we exist, we claim to know nothing. Everything is still to be known. Therefore, the love we think we know is perhaps not love at all. We have called something else love. And as long as we cling to this illusion, as long as we believe that we already know everything about love, how can we truly seek or discover it? The first thing we must understand is that we know nothing about love. One hot afternoon, Jesus Christ paused beneath a tree in a garden. It was extremely hot and he was weary. He slept in the tree's shade, not even knowing to whom this house, garden, or tree belonged. It was the Garden of Magdalene, a famously beautiful courtesan of that time. Magdalene looked out the window and saw someone very unusual sleeping under the tree. She had never seen anyone so beautiful. Just as there is beauty in the body, there is beauty in the soul. One can often perceive the beauty of the body, but the beauty of the soul is rarely seen, and when the beauty of the soul appears, even the ugliest body becomes the most beautiful flower. Although she had seen many beautiful people, for there was always a crowd at her door, it was rare to see such beauty up close inside her home. Magdalene felt irresistibly drawn to that tree, as if pulled by some mysterious force. Jesus Christ awoke and prepared to depart, having finished his rest. Magdalene then asked, "Please, grant me the grace to rest in your house?" Christ replied, "I have completed my rest now, and this is your house, this is your tree. It is time for me to leave, but if I happen to pass here again and feel tired, I will surely rest in your house." Magdalene felt insulted. Great princes had once departed from her doorstep, yet now when she invites a beggar to rest in her home, he refuses. This is an affront to Magdalene. She said, "No, I cannot accept this. Must you enter my house? Can you not do this at all for my love? Can you not come and rest in my home for even a few moments?" Christ replied, "In your very invitation I have, in some way, entered your house, because aside from the love in my heart, where else is your house? And if you were to say, 'Can't you even express a glimpse of love?' then I would tell you that you may have met many who said, 'I love you.' Yet none of them truly loved you, for deep within, they love something else. I can assure you that in truth, I am one of the few who can love you and truly do, for only one who loves with his very heart can give rise to love. the nature of love and the reciprocity of giving. None of us can truly love because deep within us there is no flow of love. When we say, "I love you," we are not actually giving love. We are begging for it. We all beg for love from one another. How can someone who is begging for love ever have the capacity to give love? How can a beggar become an emperor? How can those who constantly ask for love also be the ones who give it? We all beg from each other. A wife begs love from her husband. A husband begs from his wife. A mother begs from her son, and a son begs from his mother. Friends beg for love from each other. We all ask for love from others without realizing that the person from whom we beg is also begging from us. We are like beggars standing before each other with bowls in hand. As long as one is begging for love, that person cannot possess the power to give love, for begging indicates that the inner source of love is absent. Otherwise, why would one need to ask for love from outside? Only those who have transcended the need to beg can truly give love. Love is about sharing. It is not about asking. Love is like an emperor. It does not behave like a beggar. Love knows only how to give. It has no concern for begging. Do we truly know love? Love that is begged for cannot be genuine love. Remember, one who begs for love will never receive it in this world. One of the eternal laws of life is that those who ask for love never obtain it, never. Love only reaches the threshold of a home where the craving for love has already vanished. Love flows into the home of the one who has ceased begging, but in the home of one still desperate for love, no nourishment, no rain will ever fall. Love does not stream toward a heart that begs. A heart that begs lacks the capacity to feel love. Only a sharing heart, a heart that gives, imbued with the true capacity for love, can approach the door and say, "Open up, I've arrived." Has love ever knocked on our door? Not yet, because we have not developed the capacity to give love. And remember, everything we give returns to us in countless ways. One of the eternal laws of life is that whatever we give comes back to us in infinite forms. The whole world is nothing more than an echo. We give hatred, and hatred returns. We give anger, and anger comes back. We insult, and insults rebound. We give thorns, and thorns return. Whatever we give will come back to us in endless ways. And if we share love truly, then love will return to us infinitely. If love does not return in such boundless measure, then know that we have not truly given love. But how can we give love? We have nothing within us to give. If we truly had love, why would we wander from door to door begging for love? Why do we roam around, always asking for love? There was once an ascetic fakir named Farid. In his town, people said to him, "Farid, Akbar holds you in high regard. Please ask Akbar to open a school in our town." Farid replied, "I have never begged anyone for anything. I am a fakir. I only know how to give." The townspeople were very surprised. They said, "We always assumed a fakir would beg, but you claim that a fakir only gives. We do not understand these subtle, refined matters. Please do us the favor and ask Akbar to open a school for us." The townspeople were persistent. So early one morning, Farid went to meet Akbar. Akbar was praying in the mosque, and Farid went and stood behind him. After Akbar finished his prayer and raised his hands to the sky, he cried out, "O Lord, increase my wealth, increase my treasure, expand my kingdom." Hearing this, Farid began to turn away. Akbar rose and saw that Farid had already walked off. He ran after him, stopped him, and asked, "Why did you come? And why are you leaving?" Farid replied, "I thought you were an emperor, but I see now you are just a beggar. I intended to ask for a school for our town. I did not know that you too were begging from God to increase your wealth and treasure. It seems improper for a beggar to ask for something from another beggar. I assumed you were an emperor. Now I see you are also a beggar, so I must leave. We are all beggars, constantly asking for what we do not have. And when we do not receive it, we become sorrowful. We cry and lament, feeling that we lack love. Love is not something that can be acquired from the outside. Love is the music of your inner being, the melody of your heart's veena. No one can give you love as an external commodity. Love arises within you. It cannot be purchased in a store, at a market, or from any vendor. Love cannot be bought at any price. Love is the blooming within. It emerges from a dormant energy inside, yet all of us go out searching for love externally. We all seek love in the one we love, an act that is utterly false and meaningless. Search for love within yourself. We can scarcely imagine how love could exist within us, for love is always linked to the idea of someone else being loved. It gives us the notion of another person outside of ourselves. Because we have forgotten that love can arise from within, the energy of love remains asleep. We do not realize that we are always begging for something outside that already exists within us, and because we ask for it externally, we never look inward. Thus, that which might naturally arise will never emerge. Love is the inherent treasure with which each individual is born. Humans are not born with money. Money is a social accumulation, but we are born with love. It is our inherent wealth, our personal abundance that resides within us. It is the companion granted to us by birth, one that can remain with us throughout our lives. Yet very few are fortunate enough to look within and discover where love truly dwells, or to understand how it can be nurtured. Thus, we are born, but our inner wealth remains untapped. It is never fully utilized. Instead, we continuously go out begging at someone else's door, extending our hands because we crave love. All over the world there is one desire. We want to be loved, and one complaint. We do not receive love. And when we do not receive love, we blame others for our lack of it. A wife might say to her husband, "There is something wrong with you. That's why I do not feel loved." The husband might reply, "There is something wrong inside you. That's why I do not receive love." And no one ever asks whether it is even possible to obtain love from the outside. Love is the inner treasure, and love itself is the music produced by the heart's veena. Yet the heart's veena has become terribly disordered. The music it is meant to produce does not arise. How can that music come forth? What obstacles block the creation of this music? What hindrances prevent it from emerging? Have you ever considered these obstacles? Have you ever thought of what might stand in its way? Why ego and love cannot coexist. An artist, a renowned playwright and poet, died. Many gathered at his cremation. Among those present was the film company director for whom he once worked. The director said, "I made this man an artist. I pulled him out of obscurity and set him on the highway to fame. I gave him his first role in a film. I published his first book. I am the reason he became famous all over the world." He spoke thus. I was present at the funeral, as were some others, and suddenly the corpse stood up and said, "Excuse me, sir, but tell me, who deserves to be buried here? Are you or me? Whom are you speaking about?" The director replied, "I am the one who made you famous, who published your book, who gave you your first film role. I am the one." Even the corpse could not tolerate the clamor of the I. It stood up and said, "Excuse me, but please tell me, who deserves to be interred in the grave? Are you or me? Whom are you speaking of?" Even the corpse could not endure this incessant noise of I. And people constantly create clamor about the I. How can the living endure that? There can only be two voices within us. The voice of love cannot be overwhelmed by the voice of I, and the voice of I cannot be supplanted by the voice of love. These two cannot coexist. They are of the same kind and cannot exist together like darkness and light. Long ago, darkness went to God and said, "The sun keeps chasing me. It troubles me constantly, following me from dawn to dusk until I am exhausted. And when night comes, before I have a chance to sleep, it begins to pursue me again. I do not recall ever doing anything to anger it. I do not believe I have ever provoked it. So why does it follow me? Why am I continuously harassed? What have I done wrong?" Then God called the sun and asked, "Why do you chase darkness so persistently? He always hides, seeking shelter wherever he can. Why do you follow him 24 hours a day? What is your need?" The sun replied, "Who is this darkness? I have never met him. I do not even know him. Who is darkness? What is darkness? I have never seen him, nor encountered him. But if I inadvertently commit a mistake, I am ready to ask forgiveness. And once I recognize him, I will never follow him again." They say that millions, even billions of years have passed since this event. It is recorded in God's annals. Yet God was never able to have darkness and the sun coexist. And I tell you that in the future, no matter how omnipotent he may be, he will never be able to arrange such a coexistence. Even the Almighty cannot bring darkness before the sun, because darkness and light cannot coexist. The reason is that darkness has no independent existence. It cannot exist in the presence of the sun. Darkness is merely the absence of the sun. So how can the absence and the presence of the same thing exist together? Darkness is nothing in itself. It is merely the lack of the sun, the absence of light. Therefore, how can absence of light appear? How can both exist together? God cannot arrange that. Likewise, the ego and love cannot exist together. The ego is like darkness. It is the absence of love. It is not the presence of love. Within us, love is absent, so the voice of I continually echoes. And with this voice of I, we proclaim, "I want to love. I want to give love. I want to receive love." You are deranged. There can never be any true relationship between I and love. And this I incessantly speaks of love. I want to pray. I want to attain God. I want to be liberated. It is akin to darkness saying, "I want to embrace the sun. I want to love the sun. I want to be a guest in the house of the sun." Such a notion is inconceivable. The I is the very absence of love in itself. I represents the lack of love, and the more we empower that I voice, the less love resides within us. The stronger our ego becomes, the more love is diminished. When the ego is all there is, love dies entirely. There can be no love within us because if we were to look inside, we would hear the voice of I echoing 24 hours a day. We breathe with this I. We drink with this I. We even enter sacred spaces with this I. What else is there in our lives besides this I? Our clothes, our perspectives, our knowledge, and even our spiritual practices, including our acts of service, are all expressions of our I. Even our renunciation, sannyasa, is but the sannyasa of our own I. A powerful inner feeling arises, proclaiming, "I am a renunciate. I am not an ordinary person. I am the renunciate. I am the helper. I am the connoisseur. I am wealthy. I am this. I am that." A house built around this I will never know love. Consequently, the music that could come from the very core of your heart, music that would allow you to experience the truth of life, will never arise from your heart's veena. That door will never open. It will remain forever closed. It must be understood fundamentally. The strength and depth of your I determine how much power you give to it. If you empower it further, you extinguish any possibility that love might arise within you, that the closed valve of love might ever open, or that the treasure of love might be attained. Abandon that very idea. There is simply no way for love to manifest if the ego is allowed to thrive. That is why I do not advise you to begin loving by saying, "I love, therefore I love." Love that arises from the ego is utterly false. Indeed, I say that all our love is false, because it originates from the ego. It is merely the shadow of the ego. And remember, love that comes from the ego is even more dangerous than hatred, for hatred is clear, direct, and simple, while love, when masked by the ego, is altered and difficult to discern. If you receive love that is tainted by ego, soon you will feel as if you are bound by the iron chains of possessive love. In time, you will come to realize that love offers sweet words and beautiful songs only to seduce you in the beginning. There is much poison hidden in those sweet, alluring songs. And if love manifests as a flower that is nothing more than a shadow of the ego, then when you touch that flower, you will feel thorns pricking you. When people go fishing, they hook bait on their lines. The ego, eager to dominate and possess others, drives that bait deep into them. Consequently, many people end their days in pain and misery because of their delusions about love. Even in hell, many do not suffer nearly as much. It is precisely this delusion about love that causes suffering throughout the world. Humanity suffers because of it. Yet we fail to understand that love emerging from the ego is false. This is the reason why hell has been created. Love intertwined with the ego becomes the very embodiment of jealousy. That is why no one experiences jealousy like those who are jealous in love. When love is attached to the ego, it becomes a scheme and a ploy to possess others. It is a conspiracy, and that is why those who speak of love smother others with it. This situation arises because love that comes from the ego can never truly relate with the ego. The ego continuously shouts about love. I want to pray, I want to attain God, I want to be liberated. It is like darkness proclaiming, I want to embrace the sun, I want to love the sun, I want to be a guest in the sun's house. Such notions are inconceivable. The Song of Love. Jalaluddin often sang a song, a very beautiful song. He would travel from one town to another singing this song. Whenever people asked him to say something about God, he would sing this song. This song is very wonderful. In that song, he said that a lover goes to the door of the one they love and knocks on it. And the one who is loved asks, "Who are you?" The lover replies, as every lover does, "I am your lover." There is silence inside. No answer comes, no sound is heard from within. The lover begins to knock again, louder, yet it seems there is no one inside. He starts to shout, "Why is there silence inside? Answer me, I am your lover. I have arrived." But the louder he shouts, "I have arrived. I am your lover," the more the house falls silent like a tomb. No answer comes from within. Then he begins banging his head against the door and says, "At least give me an answer." And an answer comes from within. It is, "Perhaps there is no room in this house for two." We say, "I have arrived, I am your lover, yet I am present here." Perhaps there is no space for two here. The door of love can only open for those who have relinquished the I. Now leave, come back some other time. The lover went away and he prayed and meditated for many years. Many moons passed, many sunrises and sunsets came and went, many years passed, and then he returned to this door. When he knocked, he heard the same question again. "Who are you?" This time the lover said, "There is no I, only you." Jalaluddin said that at this point the door opened. I will not open the door. Jalaluddin died many years ago, so there is no way for me to tell him that the time was not right for the door to be opened. He had allowed the door to be opened too soon. For one who says, only you, still experiences that person as an I. The only one who does not know you and does not experience oneself as I. Therefore, although it is said that love does not contain two, it is equivalent to saying that love contains only one. In love, no two exists. If there is the idea of one, knowing that the other is also present, since only the other can recognize the one, then where you is present, I is also present. Therefore, I will send that lover away once more. That person says, there is no I, only you. Yet the one who says this is indeed there, completely present. That person has only learned the trick. The first time he answered, here I am, and the door remained closed. So after many years of contemplation, he decided to say, I am not, only you. But who will say this? Why would he say this? The one who knows you also knows I. Remember that you is the shadow of I. For the one whose I has disappeared, you also no longer remains. Therefore, I will send that lover away because the beloved said, there is no room for two. This person did not understand that. He shouted and said, where are the two? Now I do not exist, only you. The beloved told him to go away because he only knew tricks. He still saw two people. The beloved said that if two no longer exist, then the lover would not even try to open the door, because who has the right to demand that the door be opened, and who is the one who wants to open it? In the house of two, there can be no love. The lover went away. Many years passed, and he did not return. He never returned. Then the beloved went in search of him. Therefore, I say that the day our shadow of I disappears, the day when there is no more I and you, that day you will not have to seek the sacred. The sacred will come to you. No one can seek the sacred, for that person does not have the capacity for such a search. But when someone has become ready to vanish, become ready to be nothing, become ready to be empty, then the sacred will surely find that person. Only the sacred can find a person, while a person can never find the sacred. For even in the search, the ego is present. I am searching, I must attain God. I have attained wealth. I have attained status in parliament. I have a big house. Now the final purpose remains. I also want to attain the sacred. How can I let go of the reputation of attaining God? It will be my ultimate victory. I must attain this victory. I must also attain the sacred. This is the declaration, the emphasis, the search of the ego itself. The illusion of self, unveiling the sacred. Therefore, the religious person is not the one who begins the search for the sacred. The religious person is the one who begins the search for his own self, and the more he searches, the more he finds that his self is not present at all. And on the day when the self is no more, the door concealing love will open for that person. Thus, the ultimate conclusion is, continue to search for yourself, not to find your soul. You know nothing at all about your soul. Do not go in search of the sacred because you don't even have the slightest idea of what the sacred is. How can you look for something about which you have no concept whatsoever? Where will you search for someone whose address you don't have? Where will you look for someone about whom you have no information? Where will you search for someone who has no beginning and no end, whose location you have no idea of? You will go mad. You won't know where to look correctly. But we know one thing. We know ourself. Therefore, first and foremost, we must discover this self, find out what it is, where it is, and who it is. And when you find it, you will be astonished to see that this self does not exist at all. It is an utterly false concept. It is merely your imagination that the self exists. It is an illusion nurtured by you. When a child is born, we give them a name for convenience. We call someone Rama, someone Krishna, or something else. No one is born with a name. All names are given merely for convenience, but later, through constant repetition, people come to believe that this is the person's name. I am Rama, I am Krishna. And if you say something bad about Rama, he will be ready to hit you. You have insulted him. And he now has that name. No one is born with a name. Everyone is born anonymous, but names are socially convenient. Labeling without a name is difficult, so we assign names. We give names so that others can identify you. It is a social utility. And if we use the name to identify ourselves, confusion arises. Are we calling ourselves or someone else? Therefore, to avoid confusion, we call ourselves I. I is the title one uses to refer to oneself, while the name is the designation by which others refer to you. Both designations are social conveniences, illusions, and we build the house of our life around these two designations, merely two empty words, behind which there is no truth, no essence. There are only names, only designations. Once such a mistake occurred. There was a little girl named Alice, and Alice wandered in a strange land, the Promised Land. When she arrived before the Queen of the Promised Land, the Queen asked Alice, "Did you meet anyone on your way here?" Alice replied, "I met no one." But the Queen thought that the girl had met someone named No One. And this illusion grew stronger, to the point that the Queen's envoy also asked him if he had met anyone. He too said, "No one." The Queen said, "This is very strange." She thought that a person named No One had met both Alice and the envoy. Therefore, she said to the envoy, "It seems that no one is walking slower than you." That statement had two meanings. One meaning was that no one walked slower than the envoy. The envoy became frightened because he thought he must walk very fast, so he said, "No, no one walks faster than me." The Queen replied, "This is a difficult situation. You say that no one walks faster than you, but if no one walks faster than you, then he must come before you. He must have already arrived." Only then did the envoy realize that a misunderstanding had occurred. He said, "No one is no one." The Queen said, "I know that no one is no one, but who is he? Tell me. He must have arrived by now. Where is he?" In human language, everyone is named no one. No name signifies more than this. All ideas about I amount to no one, nothing more. People die but leave their names carved in stone, hoping that the stone will endure. We do not know if that stone will last. All the sand on the beach was once stone at some point. All stone turns to sand. Whether you write your name on sand or on stone, it is the same thing. In the long story of the world, there is no difference between sand and stone. Children write their names in the sand on the beach. Perhaps they think that tomorrow people will pass by and see them. But the waves come and wash away the sand, and the elderly laugh and say, "Dear children, the names written in the sand mean nothing." Yet the old write on stone, not knowing that sand is created from stone. There is no difference between the old and the young. In foolishness, we are all the same in age. An emperor becomes a Chakravartin, that is, the teacher of the entire earth. An ancient story tells that Chakravartins possess a special privilege not afforded to everyone, for they have the opportunity to carve their names on Mount 2D, the mountain in the celestial realm. Even in infinite time, it is rare for someone to become a Chakravartin. Thus, having one's name on Mount 2D, the eternal mountain, is a rare phenomenon. When the emperor became a Chakravartin, he was very happy. Now he had the privilege of writing his name on Mount 2D. He ascended to the gateway of the celestial realm with fanfare and a grand procession, accompanied by a mighty army. The gatekeeper said, "You have arrived. You may enter, but this crowd cannot. They must return home. Do you have the instrument to carve your name?" The emperor replied, "I have brought the instrument." The gatekeeper said, "This Mount 2D is infinite, yet there have been so many Chakravartins that there is no space left to carve a new name. Therefore, first you must erase someone else's name, then you can carve your own, for there is no room left. The entire mountain is covered." The emperor passed through the gate. This mountain is infinite. Many ranges like the Himalayas could fit within a smaller area of it, and on its surface there was not even a scrap of empty space. He thought that someone had become a Chakravartin in infinite time, but he had no notion that so much time had passed that even for one who becomes a Chakravartin, the entire mountain was full with no vacant space. The emperor became very sad and agitated. The gatekeeper said to him, "Do not be sorrowful. My father, his father, and his father's father also did this. Through many generations, we have known that whenever you want to carve, you must first erase the surface. You will never have any empty space." Then the emperor turned away. He said, "If one can only carve after erasing someone's name, then that is madness. For I will carve and leave, and afterwards someone else will come, erase my name, and carve their own. When this mountain is so full of names, who will read them? And what is the use? I am sorry, I am making a mistake. This is all futile." Only a few are as wise. Others desire their names to be written in stone. In temples, they build memorials to record their names and forget that they were born without a name. They do not possess a name of their own. Thus, on one hand, the stone is wasted, and on the other, labor is wasted as well. When they die and bid farewell, they depart anonymously. We do not have any name of our own. The name is an illusion visible to the external world, and the self is an illusion visible from within. I and name are two sides of the same coin. The name is seen from the outside, while the I is seen from within. And as long as the illusions of name and I remain, the place from which love arises will not open. Therefore, the final thing I want to say is, search just a little. Go to Mount 2D and see how many names have been placed there. Do you also want to add your name by erasing the surface? Come a little closer to the mountain and observe as they turn into sand. Watch the children writing their names on the beach. Look at everything around you and what you are doing. Are we wasting our lives writing names in the sand? And if you find that appealing, then search a little more. Go within this I and look. One day you will see that I is no one. There is no one there. There is a deep and serene silence there, but no I. And the day you realize that there is no I within you, you will know the entirety, the true existence, being, existence, the sacred. That is why I say that love is the door to the sacred and the ego is the door to ignorance. Love is the door to light and the ego is the door to darkness. I must say this final thing before we depart. Embark on some exploration of love from this direction. But this exploration will begin with the ego and end with attaining love. Therefore, explore in this direction. Does the shadow of the ego really exist? Does the I truly exist? The one who embarks on this exploration not only fails to find the I, but also attains the sacred. The one bound to the stake of I is incapable of stepping into the ocean of the sacred. This is the final thing I want to say to you. In fact, it is the first and the last thing to be said. I is the beginning of human life, and I is its end. The one bound to the I experiences pain, and once freed from the I, that person attains bliss. There is no story, no fairy tale except for the I. There is no dream except for the I. There is no falsehood except for the I. Find that I and the door to bliss may open. If the rock of the I is shattered, the stream of love will begin to flow. Then the heart will be filled with the music of love. When the heart is filled with love, a new journey begins, one that is difficult to describe in words, and that journey will take you to the very center of life.